Are you still not sure if AI is really for you? Maybe you've tried it, you've pasted a prompt into ChatGPT, and what came back felt pretty awkward. Like it kind of worked, but also kind of made you cringe. Or maybe you've held back entirely because deep down you're wondering, if I use this, am I going to lose the personal touch that makes my business work? Will it feel too robotic or too generic? Too disconnected from everything I've built with care? Look, I get it. There's a lot of hype around AI right now and just as much fear. But what if the thing that's holding you back isn't the tool? It's the myths that you've been told about what AI actually is. And so today I'm breaking down the 5 biggest myths I hear all the time so you can stop second guessing and start using AI in a way that feels simple, aligned, and actually helpful. So let's get into it. Here's the thing I want you to hear before we go any further. You're not anti-AI, you're not behind, you're not closed off to new tools or unwilling to adapt. You're just not convinced that AI actually fits the way you do business. And that makes total sense because you didn't build your business on shortcuts or gimmicks. You built it on trust, on showing up consistently, on real human connection. And that's exactly why this episode matters so much. Because what's keeping most coaches, creators, and service-based business owners from using AI isn't just a lack of knowledge or a fear of change. It's something deeper. It's that nagging question in the back of your head of, will this actually sound like me? Will my audience know that I didn't write this? Will I lose the personal touch that makes my brand mine? Or maybe it's more practical, like will this just be another complicated thing I sign up for and never use? And look, I felt that too. Even coming from a tech background, I hesitated at first because I didn't want to lose the part of my business that really makes people say, wow, it's like you're inside my head. And I didn't want AI to dilute that. But what I discovered and what I want to walk you through today is that when you use AI with intention, when you train it like a team member and you give it context, clarity, and guardrails, it doesn't replace your voice, it supports it. So in this episode, we're gonna cut through the hype, clear out the fear, and talk about what's actually true, what AI is, what it's not, and how to use it in a way that aligns with your values, amplifies your message without burning out or sounding like a robot. So let's start with the first myth. Let's start with the one that makes the biggest emotional splash. AI is going to replace me. And I want to honor that because if you've been building your business around your voice, your story, your expertise, the idea of something artificial stepping in and doing the work for you can feel pretty off, especially if you're in a role that's deeply personal, like coaching, teaching, or transformational work. This fear shows up as a quiet voice in the back of your mind that says, if I start automating, am I still needed? Will people still value what I bring to the table? And here's the truth. AI isn't here to replace your role. It's here to replace the repetitive parts of your role, the admin parts, the copy and paste parts, the I've written this email 10 times already parts. AI is not the visionary, it's not the guide, and it definitely doesn't have your lived experience or your intuition. What it does have though is speed. And when you give it the right input, it can move the busy work off your plate so that you can stay focused on the work only you can do. I like to think of it like hiring a VA, but for your brain. AI is your behind the scenes assistant that helps structure your ideas, organize your message, and free up your time. It's not leading the strategy, it's executing the parts that slow you down. So let me share a quick example. So a while back, I had a content heavy week coming up. Normally that would have meant hours of writing, planning, and organizing ideas from scratch. But instead, I tested what would happen if I handed off just the starting point to AI. I gave it a prompt in my voice. I told it who my audience was, the tone that I wanted, and the goal of the piece. And in 90 seconds, I had a draft. Now, was it done? No. But instead of facing a blank screen, I had a first draft that gave me something to react to. I could layer in my stories, tweak the language, and make it fully my own. And that alone saved me almost 2 hours. And because I wasn't drained from trying to start from scratch, I actually had the creative energy to make that content better. AI is not here to replace your creativity, it's here to protect it. And when you use it well, AI helps you stay in your zone of genius longer. It gives you margin, it gives you clarity, and it gives you back your time without compromising what makes your business so powerful, you. All right, let's move on to the next myth, because this one is even sneakier and way more emotional than people expect. Let's talk about the myth that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. If I use AI, people won't trust me anymore. Now, this one doesn't always get said out loud, but it's there under the surface. And for a lot of coaches, course creators, and solopreneurs, there's this fear that if you start using AI to help write your emails, plan your content, or automate your client communication, your audience will somehow know. They'll feel the difference, and that difference will break the trust that you've worked so hard to build. And honestly, I get it, because if your brand is built on that connection, that transparency, and the presence that I mentioned, which most of ours are, anything that feels too automated can feel like a betrayal of that. But here's what I've learned after testing this in my own business and watching clients do the same. It's not about whether you use AI, it's about how you use it. AI doesn't kill trust. Inauthentic use of AI does. But thoughtful, intentional use of AI, that can actually build more trust than ever, because it helps you to show up more consistently, more clearly, and with more energy to serve your audience well. So let me paint a picture. Imagine one of your clients has been following you for months. They love your podcast, your posts, your emails, but for the past 3 weeks, they haven't heard from you. Not because you're lazy, but because life is full, launches are stressful, and your energy is spread thin. Now imagine if, thanks to AI, you had a system in place to keep your voice in their inbox, showing up with intention even when life is busy. That consistency, that presence, that builds trust. Because trust isn't just about showing up in person, it's about showing up with purpose. In my experience, when I use AI to help me generate a draft or map out an idea or structure a piece of content, what I'm really doing is giving myself the capacity to show up more often and still sound like me. And so when I write the first 20% and let AI fill in the middle, or when I give AI my brand tone, values, and the story I want to share so it can turn it into something usable, that's not deception, that's delegation. And here's the truth. The people who trust you don't trust you because you type every word manually. They trust you because of how your content feels, because of the care, clarity, and consistency behind it. If AI helps you maintain that, that's not a compromise, that's a smart business decision. So if you've been afraid to lean into AI because you think it'll damage your audience connection, I want to challenge you. Maybe it's time to see AI as a tool that preserves your trust, not one that erodes it. Let's move on to myth number 3, because it's one I know a lot of business owners are secretly struggling with. So let's talk about a myth that's usually whispered quietly and sometimes with a little sigh at the end. I can't take on one more tool. If you've ever felt like that, I hear you, because between your course platform, your CRM, your email system, your design tool, your calendar app, and your Google Drive that's 87 folders deep, you're not exactly sitting around thinking, what I really need right now is another login. You're juggling a lot. And when people start talking about AI, it can feel like just one more tab, one more learning curve, one more system you're going to have to duct tape into place. But here's the thing. AI doesn't have to be another thing. It can actually be the thing that simplifies everything else. Let me paint a before and after picture. So before I brought AI into my workflow, here's what a typical week looked like. I'd spent hours writing from scratch, Instagram captions, emails, lesson outlines, you name it. And the real bottleneck wasn't the tools I was using, it was me. Because I was the only one who understood how everything fit together. So every single task depended on me starting it, moving it, and finishing it. And that's exhausting. So after I trained a simple AI assistant with my voice, my values, and my content plan, everything changed. And so now when I sit down to create, I have a trained GPT that understands my brand. Instead of writing from scratch, I ask, can you draft this in my voice based on this week's theme? Boom, starting point. I still review it, I still add my flavor, but I'm not spinning my wheels on the basics anymore. What's powerful about this is that I didn't change any of my tools. I didn't throw away what I was already using. I just introduced a helper into the workflow, one that made everything else feel lighter. So if you've been thinking, I just can't take on something new right now, what if AI could actually give you less to manage? Not by replacing all your systems, but by removing you as the bottleneck. Because the real weight isn't the tech, it's that mental load of having to do everything manually. And when you use AI the right way, it doesn't complicate your stack. It frees up your brain so that you can finally breathe. Let's move into myth number 4, because this one stops so many smart business owners from starting at all. Let's talk about one of another quiet myths, but also one of the most common. I don't know where to start with AI. This usually doesn't sound dramatic. It doesn't come with strong opinions. It's just a subtle hesitation. A tab left open, a free trial that never gets used, maybe a ChatGPT window that just stays blank. And if that's where you're at, I just want to say this clearly. You are not behind, you are not too late, and you're not doing anything wrong. You're just unclear on your entry point. And that's not a character flaw, it's a clarity problem. See, most business owners, they aren't afraid of learning new things. But we are tired. We're tired of overcomplicated tech. We're tired of trying to figure things out without a clear roadmap. We're tired of being told you have to use this, but not being shown how it actually helps you right now. So that's why this myth lingers, because the people who are telling you to use AI aren't breaking it down in a way that connects to your real world tasks. So here's how I want you to think about it. Don't start with a tool. Start with a task. Ask yourself, where in my business am I doing the same thing over and over again? It might be something like writing your weekly newsletter, explaining the same process in emails or DMs, planning your Instagram posts, creating onboarding materials for new clients, or following up after someone downloads your lead magnet. That's your starting point. Not all of it, just one. Because this is the biggest unlock. You don't need to master AI. You just need to give it one job to do. And so that's what I call the start with one task system. You take the most repetitive part of your business, the thing that drains you but doesn't need your full creative energy, and you use AI to support it. Now, that might mean writing your email draft for the week, or turning a long form video into social captions, or answering FAQs with a voice-trained chatbot. Whatever it is, you focus on one thing and then you stop, okay? Because this isn't about automating your entire business overnight. It's really about building trust with the process. It's about seeing that it can work and letting that one small win build momentum. And if you're sitting there thinking, okay, but how do I know what task to start with? That's exactly why I created the ABCs of AI. It's a free guide that walks you through how to spot the bottlenecks in your business, match the right AI tool to the task, train it to support your voice and brand without needing to be techie. And so if indecision is what's been holding you back, this is your way forward. Clarity, it creates confidence. And confidence gets you moving. Let's get into the final myth, one that shows up after people start using AI, and it quietly leads to burnout. Let's talk about one more myth, one that sneaks in after you've started using AI. And that is, if I'm going to use AI, I need to use it for everything. Now, this one sounds productive. It sounds ambitious. It might even sound a little strategic. But underneath that, there's a subtle pressure. A feeling like if you're not automating every part of your business, if you're not building an AI-powered funnel or replacing your whole team with bots, that you're somehow missing out. And I want to tell you right now, that is not true. AI is not an all or nothing tool. You don't have to go full automation to get the benefits. You don't need to become an AI expert. You don't need to build some complicated tech stack or have 12 custom GPTs trained on your backend. You just need one thing. One win, one place in your business where you say, you know what, I don't have to carry this manually anymore. And that's where the shift happens. So I'll give you a real example from my business. Now, I didn't start by automating everything. I didn't try to write a full sales funnel or rebuild my entire email sequence with AI on day one. I started small. And so one day I was writing my weekly email and I just didn't have the energy. I knew what I wanted to say, but the words, they just weren't coming. So I opened ChatGPT and I typed out, hey, I want to write a warm, helpful email to my list this week about showing up when you feel stuck. Here's the story I want to tell. Here's the tone I want to use. Can you help me draft it? And in seconds, I had something I could work with. Again, not finished, not perfect, but enough to start. So I edited it, I made it mine, and it went out to my list. In that small moment, it gave me momentum. Because the next week I used AI again for a social caption, then a content outline, then a client onboarding message. One task at a time, not everything all at once. And that's really the heart of this. Just because AI can do something doesn't mean that it should. You don't need to automate your entire business to get value from AI. You don't need to delegate every single task. You just need to be strategic and intentional with where it can help. So start with the area that feels the heaviest and then build from there. Let AI support your business without taking it over. Now, because you're not here to become an AI engineer, you're here to save time, protect your energy, and focus on the parts of your business that actually light you up. All right, so let's wrap this up and bring it all home. Today, we covered 5 of the biggest myths that are quietly holding so many coaches, creators, and small business owners back from using AI in a way that actually supports their business. So let's recap them real quick. Myth number 1 was AI will replace me. We reframed that as AI doesn't replace your role. It replaces the repetitive parts of your role so you can stay in your zone of genius. Myth number 2 was if I use AI, people won't trust me anymore. And the truth is, when you use AI with intention and voice alignment, it actually helps you show up more consistently. Myth number 3 was AI will just add to my tech overwhelm. But what we saw is that AI isn't another platform to manage. It's the glue that makes your existing tools work better together, and it reduces your mental load. Myth number 4, I don't know where to start. And we made it simple. Start with one task, one bottleneck, one place you repeat yourself week after week. That's where AI fits in, not in trying to overhaul your whole business in one go. And finally, myth 5 was, if I'm going to use AI, I need to use it for everything. But the truth is, just because AI can do something doesn't mean it should. The goal isn't full automation, it's aligned automation. Here's the part that matters the most. Which one of these myths has been quietly running the show in the background of your brain? Maybe it's the worry that you'll lose your voice. Maybe it's the belief that you're just not techy enough. Or maybe it's that inner pressure to do all the things at once. And because that feels overwhelming, you've done nothing at all. Whatever it is, I want you to know, again, you're not behind, you're not failing, and you're definitely not the only one with these thoughts. These myths aren't flaws in your thinking. They're just places where you haven't been shown a better way yet. And that's what this episode is about. And everything that I teach is about. You don't need to master AI. You don't need to automate your whole business. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need a starting point and the right mindset. One aligned step, one tiny experiment. And that's all it takes to start building a business that runs with you, not just on you. Now that we've walked through the myths and cleared up a lot of the noise around AI, you might be thinking, okay, this makes sense, but where do I actually begin? And so that's where the ABCs of AI guide comes in. It's a free beginner-friendly resource I put together specifically for coaches, course creators, and online business owners who want to start using AI without the tech overwhelm. And so inside, I break down the 4 areas of your business that AI can support. Prompts to help AI sound like you, not a robot, and my favorite tools for content, marketing, and automation. So if you want to know exactly where to start and how to train AI to actually sound like you, this is it. So download the free guide at the link below or go to andresolguin.com/ABC. And hey, if this episode was helpful, hit subscribe. I share new trainings every week showing you how to grow your business with smart strategic AI systems without burnout, tech drama, or losing the personal touch that makes your brand work.